Now today we have got a few topics to cover. I've got to put noggins in all of the studs. If you don't know what noggins are, they're just a piece of wood that goes between each of the studs and it creates rigidity. Is that a word? That sounds like a made up word, rigidity. Strength? The strengthness. It's actually pretty amazing how much of a difference just putting noggins into a stud wall has. It surprises me every single time. It goes from basically being quite a flimsy structure to now I couldn't push this structure over even if I really wanted to. It's really solid now, and then it's going to get even more structurally sound when I put on all of the ceiling joists, which I've got all the timber for that. All the timber needed to create this structure where every single stud wall's done, all of the ceiling joists, all the concrete blocks, the damp proof membrane, all of that has come to around £1,800. Now skylights, they are absolutely everything when it comes to building a tiny house, because obviously in a tiny house you have a super small footprint, and therefore creating the feeling of space is a big deal. And what people often forget is when you're installing a skylight, you are basically cutting a section through whatever roof system you have. And for example, on a warm deck roof like this is going to be, that's a good 30 odd centimeters. So if I'm having 2.5 meter high ceilings plus 30 centimeters of warm deck roof construction, that's actually going to get you to 2.8 meters. And then that's just to the roof surface level. On top of that, there will be upstands for the skylights. You also need to remember with skylights, putting them on a little bit of an angle, otherwise you're going to get pools of water settling on the glass. That isn't a big deal in terms of being watertight, but with like Sahara sands and just the dirt that's in the air, that's going to leave marks all over the glass. So you really need to make sure there is a little bit of a fall. And as I've mentioned before with skylights, you really need to grasp this concept. You right now, you think, oh, I'm buying a skylight from this company called Belgravia Skylights. And you think that company produces those skylights. Look at these nice CGI photos. They're 2.5 grand, these skylights. Oh, let's look at some comparisons. Let's go on budget skylights are us. Oh, these are now 400 quid. Oh, the pictures don't look as good. Well, Belgravia skylights must be better quality. That's why they're charging the high price. It is very rare, extremely rare, maybe a 5% chance that is actually correct. A majority of the time, everything is coming from the exact same factory. And this is why I always recommend people to go on eBay and have a look. I don't know a single builder who doesn't buy skylights from eBay. I can remember getting a lot of questions, people being really concerned about issues that these skylights might have, but I really want to stress this to you. 9 times out of 10, they're coming from the exact same factory. I've never had an issue with eBay skylights. There's no particular eBay store that I go to. It usually depends on which one's got a good sale, because say for example, I'm thinking right now of having 3 skylights. 2 in the kitchen living area and 1 in the bathroom. Now the one in the bathroom is an interesting one. Some of you might have seen, I put a video on Instagram of a skylight that is over a shower, and what's special about this is it is completely covering the entire surface of the ceiling, meaning that you aren't seeing anything but the plaster going straight up the walls, and then the rest of it's just glass. Now there's some negatives with this, because that means that at night time, well, you can't put a spotlight, obviously where there's a skylight, you can't put that in the glass. So you're going to have to get a little bit creative with the lighting in the bathroom. I think I'm going to do a lot of recessed LEDs to try and compensate for the lack of spotlights that I'll be able to have in the bathroom. As I'm getting 3 skylights on eBay stores, you get discounts. I think the average you'll see is if you're buying 3 or more, you usually get a 10% discount on eBay stores. There's a lot of people who think DIY is beneath them. They do. They don't want to be seen covered in rubbish. And I don't know how many times I say it is, everyone else buys new builds. You need to buy the worst house on the best street, add a load of value to it, and do that in a very smart way. And the smartest way is what I've always done, is if you can only employ yourself to do a majority of the tasks on a project, the margins on projects can get unbelievable. And on this, I want to give you a little example of an electrician I know. Now, he took his son to work one day, and they were working in the basement of this house in London. He was working away on this wealthy individual's house, and this electrician was actually really enjoying his day. He was on a really nice project. The owner of the house that they were working on decided, well, for whatever reason that some people could think this is an acceptable thing to do, The owner decided he would bring his son and walk down to the basement. And as they got about halfway down the stairs, the owner of the house turned to his son and said, "This is why you need to work hard at school, so you don't turn out like these two." Now, anyone with half a brain can see that that is unacceptable. And this electrician that I know obviously felt that immediately, being like, what on earth just happened? So he just packed up all of his tools and he just left that day. But that's not what I find fascinating, of just thinking, how can someone be so socially inept? Inept? Is that the right word? The thing we couldn't believe is how deluded this homeowner was in thinking that what he was saying was right, that his son should work harder at school so he doesn't end up like an electrician, who I know he earns £140,000 a year. He only works 4 days a week. A van that's completely paid off. He's got a Range Rover that's completely paid off. He's got a £1.2 million house in Surrey. He's also got a house in Spain. If that's the outcome of not working hard at school, then what is this guy doing with his life? What, working some 9-to-5 wage slave mentality? Constantly living his entire Monday through Friday, waiting for 5 PM. Not being able to spend any of Monday through Friday with his kid. This electrician that I'm talking about, he's never missed a day of taking his kid to school. You see, the thing is I've mentioned this previously in videos about this blue collar, white collar mentality. And I don't think people properly understand how much money is out there when you start your own business, when you start thinking outside of the box. Oh my days. One of my friends literally quit his job 3 weeks ago, and I thought he is going to sit and fester now. He's always told me he's going to start a business, he's going to do X, Y, and Z. Just quitting your day job, having some money saved, that's the perfect excuse to be like, do you know what? I'm going to go on holiday for a bit. Take a break to create a little bit more of a work-life balance. You know what he did instead? He created a website in 3 weeks. How do you know how to do that? Figure it the out. But how did he know how to create a website? Was he a web developer? No, he's a muppet. This kid is dyslexic as anything. He was in set 5 for English, failing. And at GCSE, he decided, oh, I'm gonna give it everything. I don't like everyone calling me dumb. I'm in the bottom set for English. I'm gonna focus. I'm gonna spend 10 times longer revising than everybody else. He got an A star. There was people in my set who didn't get an A star. I got an E, but that is probably because I was meant to read the book. Instead, I thought I'd be really smart and just watch the film of the book. And then that didn't really work because the storylines were quite different. So I think that had something to do with my E, but it probably wouldn't have helped because I can't really read. So as always, what's that? Discipline, work ethic, not listening. Oh no, you've got dyslexia. I don't know how they categorize dyslexia, but my friend is madly dyslexic. I mean, you basically are reading hieroglyphics when you're texting. He quit his day job within 1 month of when he set a countdown to doing it. He's created this website, and in his first week of operating, he has made £6.5 grand. £6.5 grand on a business that could have not existed. He could have stayed at his 9-to-5 job. Do you know why most people never venture out of the norm of their robotic life? Is they are scared. What is more scary though? The fact that this person who's just made £6.5 grand, that person could have not taken the initiative, taken the risk. He could have stayed in that 9-to-5 job for the rest of his life. The rest of his life. Not knowing that potential that was waiting there for him. Where I get my enjoyment of life from is from having an established FU position. Meaning a manager annoys you. Here's my notice, I'm gone. Oh, but no, you can't just hand your notice in and leave. Yeah, I can. You're sat in a northern line, cramped, no air conditioning, you're miserable, and you go, do you know what? I've had enough of this. My business has been established for this amount of time, I can just leave now. That, for me, was my FU position. This tiny house that I'm building with no debt, that is my FU position. It's creating a situation where you're almost untouchable. You're completely out of the system. Now, for my friend, he didn't do that. Instead, I guess maybe how he works is when he's chucked into the fire. And maybe that's part of the success, is because he just left his day job to start this business, not setting it up alongside the day job. Maybe that's where the success of his business has come from, because He's got no option. He's burnt the bridge of his day job. Isn't there some saying about that? If you want to take the island, burn your boats, because then you've got no other opportunity but to survive, because you don't have any escape from that island. That's actually what he did. He had a set amount of money, and therefore that created this feeling of starving. He's literally burning his resources, the money, and so therefore the only option is to either get another job, which he doesn't want to do because he was fed up with 9 to 5. So his only option was to create a business. I could not be more proud of him. And the thing is, with people like you watching this right now, you have that in you. Do not compare your day 1 to someone else's day 2000. That's what a lot of people, I think, when they see me, they don't really understand that I once was you. This mentality, mindset, drive, ambition, all these things, it's like 10 years of teaching my brain how to become this person. I used to be a loser. I used to give in to all... I've got to take this call, so I'll see you in the next video. Bye.